We're going to move on to our third panelist, Brian Brashaw. Did I pronounce that correctly?
Brashaw.
Brashaw. Okay, great. So Brian's going to talk about wood innovations and the connections to our forests. So Brian is an assistant director of the USDA Forest Service State and Private Forestry Wood Innovations Program. And the Wood Innovations Program supports the development of wood products and wood energy markets to reduce wildfire risk and enhance long-term sustainable management of our national forests. So, Brian, why don't you take it away? Thank you.
Good. Hi, everybody. Did slides come up yet?
Yep, they're up. They look good.
All right. Well, hey, it's Friday afternoon. I'm standing between you and happy hour. I would always tell people it's 5 o'clock somewhere. Well, it is 5 o'clock here. I'm in northern Minnesota, based out of Duluth, Minnesota. So it's really good to see everybody. I manage our national Washington office wood markets team. So the Forest Service has a market development team that is really trying to create as many markets as we can for the kinds of materials that are removed during regular harvesting, but also in some of the hazardous fuels treatment that EJ just shared some pictures of as well. You know, we're going to be removing these materials. What is it we can actually do to try to support them the best we can? So my team is kind of small. This is our whole national team that really focuses on our wood innovation program. We have a couple people in our Washington office, so I report to our national office. And each of our Forest Service regions has a separate, a couple of one or two coordinators that are wood innovation coordinators. So in Oregon, it's Jim Archuleta, who would be based out of the Portland office, and then also Adrian Kaiser. But this team is really focused on a couple things. One is our national grants program. We have 2 wood innovation grants and community wood facilities grants. So those are grants that we invest to support industry, universities, other partners to really grow and build markets for wood products. But we also get involved in some of those other duties as assigned. For instance, Amanda was on earlier from the Oregon Association of Loggers. A pandemic assistance for timber harvesters and haulers. The PATH program was a program that my team helped Farm Services stand up here in the last earlier this year, where $200 million of financial assistance was provided to timber harvesters and haulers, to loggers and truckers. So a lot of different things my team's involved in, National Forest Products Week, and many other parts of it. But you know, when we talk about wood products, we should also talk, and this is the only concrete building I'm going to show y'all, but this is the Forest Products Laboratory in Madison, Wisconsin, and I reported to the director of the lab for 5 years, and most recently to and now I report through our Washington D.C. office. But the laboratory has really been the scientific backbone of a lot of the innovations, a lot of the wood products, even traditional wood products, that lumber and lumber grades, all of these kinds of things over time have really been part of this scientific background from the Forest Products Laboratory. So when we think about markets, we also think about the importance and the connection of management. Without markets for wood products, it really struggles on management. So whether it's a state, the Forest Service, others, and the ability to use that material, the ability to really create and enhance, healthy, resilient forests. So I'm going to talk to you about a couple things, and in some place, we often use the word in wood innovations, and it gets tied oftentimes to innovative wood products. But I can tell you, when you're in a place that doesn't have a lot of markets or wood products manufacturing, anything is innovative. So I'm going to always take a pretty broad interpretation of the term wood innovations or innovative wood products, and we really do think about the entire supply chain, the connection between loggers and truckers all the way through to ultimate deployment and construction in these cases. So this is mass timber, and mass is just short for massive, and it's large timber panels. And Oregon's been a lead in this. Portland is certainly a hub. The center picture is carbon 12 in Northeast Portland. So there's been a strong emphasis on this, and the connection that we have focused on is that we're replacing other high fossil fuel carbon intensive materials. So the picture on the left is the skyline of the city of Atlanta. And so you've got a 5-story building going up in Atlanta. The one on the right is the tallest timber building in the world. And of all places, it's being built in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. So it's 6 stories of steel and concrete podium with 19 stories of wood on top of it. An amazing structure overlooking Lake Michigan, so my home state. Why is the Forest Service investing in mass timber? What is it that we're all talking about? And I know these are all things that have come across, during your meeting today. Things like catastrophic wildfire, drought, disease, insects, the ability to protect communities, really to local economies and economic development, and then a lot of cross-boundary issues. Fire doesn't know boundaries between land ownerships. We've invested over $40 million since about 2015, and we continue to invest pretty aggressively in mass timber because it really opens a conversation between urban and rural. So it really gives us this unique ability to be focused. We're involved in education, technical assistance. We've supported the code work that allows these tall timber buildings to be built. And then we've had a lot of special initiatives as we've gone through it. There's a host of product families out there. Cross-laminated timber is the one that's probably most familiar, but for those of you that know Freres and the folks in Lyons, it's a mass ply product or mass plywood product for now Freres wood. So again, unique innovation to be able to take small and medium-sized trees and produce highly structural significant products as we move forward. This is my first mass timber building. This is 2015. This is in Minneapolis, downtown Minneapolis, building that overlooks the Twin Stadium. The developer has now built 6 of these buildings. It's called T3, Atlanta and Dallas, and there's one in construction in Toronto. Timber, technology, and transportation. So that's the T3, and it's usually near a transportation hub. We've been getting these buildings built all over the country. So as of the end of March in 2022, there's actually 1,400 buildings. So we're accelerating at a couple of hundred buildings a year. So you can see starting in 2017 or so, we've really ratcheted that upwards. Woodworks is a great partner of ours. But as impressive as this is, there's 15,000 buildings a year that are built out of steel and concrete that could be built with wood, with renewable wood and wood materials to help with forest management, to help with storing of carbon. The Forest Service is also investing ourselves. Our first mass timber building, cross-laminated timber building, is the Forest Supervisor's Office in Kamiah, Idaho. So the Nez Perce Clearwater National Forest, beautiful building. Again, we're investing ourselves where we can. We have 12 manufacturing plants in the U.S. now that we haven't had prior, and you can see a heavy amount of them in the Pacific Northwest. Some of these are small, micro level, and some of these are pretty substantial. So the biggest volume is actually Sterling in Illinois and in Texas, and they make wood roads. So they're doing industrial matting for right-of-way access, but they're going to be getting into structural and other applications as we go. Carbon 12 in Portland, we've invested a lot in education. We have a partnership with Woodworks to provide education and free project assistance. So architects, engineers who are not familiar with designing with wood, we have resources available to help them as they move forward in construction. We provide a lot of technical assistance. I've been in every one of those mass timber plants, except the new one, which is going to be supplying Walmart. Walmart's building their new corporate headquarters. Really, it's not a single building; it's multiple buildings for about 10,000 people in Arkansas. And a CLT manufacturer from British Columbia is locating in Arkansas, in Conway, Arkansas, to supply Southern Yellow Pine, CLT for Walmart. So a lot of big names are looking at this. Google, Microsoft, Adidas, brand new Adidas headquarters in Northeast Portland as well. All of this is through code. There's been a lot of scientific work done, fire testing, durability work, engineering, design, seismic. All of these kinds of things have really been the foundation. Oregon State University, actually Tallwood Design Institute, which is Oregon State University and the University of Oregon, have really been leaders in also doing a lot of really terrific research, testing, and then they have their new Emerson laboratory as well. And then we do some special initiatives. So our wood innovation grants. So last year, about 50% of our wood innovation grants supported wood products and cross-laminated timber, mass timber. This is a brand new basketball arena, University of Idaho in Moscow. That is, a lot of Idaho wood in this product. Incredible glue lam. I had an opportunity to be there last year in October when they did the ribbon cutting. Incredible. What about all that stuff that is not able to be turned into lumber? We can use small trees for that mass plywood product, 5 to 11 inch diameter, but there's still a lot of stuff that's low grade or unmerchantable. And that's what I'm going to share for the last couple of minutes. Biomass power is still important in the United States, both in using small harvest residues, but also as much as anything, industrial processing residues, which we would have typically called cogeneration, but sawmill residues. Without the ability to use those residues, it's very difficult for them to stay in business. One of the big challenges with biomass power, it's about 3 times more expensive than wind and solar, other renewable resources. So it really is a challenge. The Chief Moore for the Forest Service has called biomass power the Rodney Dangerfield. It just doesn't get the respect that it deserves. We have to support renewable wood energy. We have a wood energy technical assistance team. My friend Lou McCreary runs that team, and again, that team is available to work with companies, schools, organizations, tribes to really look at heating projects primarily, or co-heat and electricity generation. Free technical assistance that really can make the difference when it comes to success. And another couple of things, I try to pull in some Oregon-centric stuff. Torfaction. So this is actually the PG&E plant in Boardman. U.S. Endowment for Forestry and Communities and a number of other partners, including my former university at Minnesota Duluth, we're really working at replacing coal with roasted wood. So it's torfaction is the same process that we roast our coffee beans to make it more energy intensive and to make it easier to grind. That work started in Boardman almost a decade ago. We never got to a commercial scale early enough or quick enough, but the endowment has really stayed at this and formed a 100,000 ton a year production plant, which I hate to call it a demonstration plant because it's really a commercial production plant, but that is going through really the final stages of startup now in John Day. So they have some of these pictures are literally from the last couple of weeks. They are producing product. That product can be used to, you see the roasted chips here, can be briquetted, can be pelletized, or they can continue to roast it and produce a product called biochar. But this plant is up and running, and I have good hope for it. Biochar I'm pretty pragmatic. There's been a lot of hype around biochar, but I think that it does have a lot of potential. Both in a mobile processing unit. So these are some trials. The Forest Service has a partnership with Air Burner Inc. To do mobile processing. So curtain burners where you can pull biochar out as a co-product off production. So I think these are things that are going to be continuing to move forward in the biochar space. And we're going to continue to invest substantially in an organization known as the U.S. Biochar Initiative, usbi.org. They have done just an incredible amount of webinars. There was more webinars this week for landowners and small processing using kilns and other approaches. So there's small localized producers, and then there's going to be large scale producers as well. So I want to wrap up the last couple of minutes here on some things that are coming. They're not immediate, but they are coming. We have the ability to take wood and process it into micro particles that we really can't even see, but have incredible and unique properties. So this is cellulose nanomaterials. The Forest Service has invested closely in an organization known as P3 Nano, which is again part of the U.S. Endowment for Forestry and Communities. I give the endowment a lot of credit for being that risk taker, being that organization that can try to identify and remove risks for some of these new products. We have the ability to put cellulose nanomaterials in to concrete. It partially reduces the amount of Portland cement that's needed. And Portland cement is the big CO2 emitter. So it allows for improved hydration. There's a bit of a reinforcing, but really the reason it achieves improved properties is because it allows the water to hydrate and create a stronger material. So there's been a lot of really good work done. Oregon State University, Jason Weiss, as a professor there, has really been integrated, and they're building a demonstration bridge down in Wairika, California. So again, really an innovative team that's been working really hard at this. I think I just want to end with this, right? So I spend a lot of time. We had the Mass Timber Conference in Portland 2 weeks ago, 2,100 people there, over 1,000 were architects. And so we're talking to the specifiers, right? Those people that are making decisions, purchase decisions about wood products. And sometimes they get carried away. They see deforestation in the Amazon, they see deforestation in other parts around the world, and really don't understand that we actually do a pretty darn good job here in the United States. There's been by the architectural community in my opinion, an over-reliance on third-party certified. I am a forester first, I'm a wood products manufacturing engineer second, and most recently, I think I'm a used biomass salesman. But the reality is we have many paths to sustainable forests. We have federal laws, we have state laws, we have third-party certification, we have voluntary best management practices. All of these things are opportunities for us to help educate and articulate, because certification by itself is not inclusive. And sometimes we just have to really kind of get back to the basics. Forests sequester carbon, wood stores carbon, whether it be for a short time in paper or for a long time in mass timber, and that we really have a very smart climate set of data that this, we're much less fossil intensive than other building materials like steel and concrete. So it really is a huge opportunity. So we've got about 3 minutes for questions, and I apologize to the moderator, but you know what? When the Forest Service pushes software updates, and then they tell you your computer's going to restart in 3 minutes and 4 seconds, they really mean it. So I've got like 3 minutes, Stephen, for any quick questions that we have, and I'll follow up with anybody afterwards.
Thanks. That was great. On that last part on the carbon, it's kind of interesting if you watch the news or you listen to tidbits from different scientists, they have a different twist on carbon, and it's a little bit frustrating in the sense that it seems like we should be able to kind of track this carbon process, kind of like what Maureen Putman did, but and actually where there's disagreements on how long does a wood product last and store, or all that thing, it seems like those become research agendas, right? But yet I still see scientists argue over, you're wrong, I'm right, or they use different inputs into these models, and they come up with a result that gets published. And so I don't know, any thoughts on that? I mean,
well, here's what I'll say. We sometimes I think we lose the forest through the trees, or the trees through, I don't know. Yeah. When you're an architect and you're an engineer, and you're hearing people argue that my forestry is better than your forestry, my wood is better than your wood, you lose the big picture. Trees are a renewable resource. We do a good job. We have tools in place. It's a better option than other intense materials like steel and concrete. So, we just have to be smart to that. There's really good science out there. I have a lot of respect for all those folks, but sometimes we get too carried away as a community that my forestry is better than yours, my long-term rotation is better for carbon than others. We are trying to manage, at least for healthy, sustainable, fire resilient forests. And we have to be smart to that, because in a lot of cases, we have to pull out carbon right now based on hazardous fuels, so it doesn't go up in smoke in a fire. So those are the kinds of things that we have. I got like 50 seconds left, Stephen. I apologize, but yeah. I really have a hard out. My computer won't let me stay.
So there is a question. What do you think is the primary reason why more biomass plants are not built?
Economics, pure economics. Wind and solar are a third as expensive. Biomass is 3 times more expensive. So, and we have some challenges with the renewable fuel standard, that if EPA would allow us to do those kinds of things, we would have the opportunity to support biomass power. I'm a fan of it. It's been important to the paper industry forever, but it's something we got to keep working on.
Great. Let's see.
It's been fun. Take care, folks.
Any other questions from folks?
Send me an email.
Hey, thanks again, Brian. That was great. That was a whirlwind, so we appreciate it. Thank you. Okay, I think that wraps up this session. And I think, Dave, you're up next for closing remarks.
Yeah, we might have,
unless there's other housekeeping items that we need to address before your closing.
Yeah, really quick, we need to announce the next raffle winner.
Yes.
Someone, Dan, can you share this raffle slide really quick?
Yes, I'm getting there. I'm sorry, I lost it off my desktop here.
Well, that's okay. We probably don't need to share it, but the last raffle winner for the Dictionary of Forestry is Paul Adams. So congratulations, Paul. I'm sure you'll find that very useful. And then really quick, Dave, CFEs. So as a reminder, the CFE form was sent out in the meeting announcement, and it's also on the meeting website. If you download that form, fill out your name, email, and SAF number. The CFE code for the annual meeting is Seeing Our Forest 2022. So after you fill that out, please return it to me by email. My email should be on that form by next week, and I will get those credits submitted off to SAF. All right, Dave, take it away.
Okay, yeah, I just want to remind you about that. Seeing Our Forest 2022 is the code there. So I just have a couple closing remarks. I'm going to go through some of my. It was actually kind of interesting with Mr. Nelson being our first speaker. It says, "Well, wow is a value-laden word, and once you say it, you generally don't disturb and destroy things that say wow." So I just had a couple of wows from today, not from every speaker, but from most of them really. And this was truly as diverse a set of topics as I could ever imagine at a OSAF general meeting. You know, from Nelson, that first one, that our forest floors can almost levitate on down logs. From Conway, from cradle to grave, life in the forest. You know, I think, you know, just people are thinking like that. What does that mean for forest and the people who would come to visit our forest? If we have the whole world, that many people coming to our forest and a life in the forest, you know, that would certainly change what we do. Robert Deal, typical wetland value, $100,000 per acre. That's long-term value there. David Lewis, forest gardens that have sustained people on their travels. I've worked in the woods and I actually look for things like that. That's one of my key things that I look for. It was very interesting that David Lewis mentioned that, because that's something that I do see out there. Charles, wow, this was a real one that sort of got me thinking about that, was Oregon truffles. So much. I've got Douglas firs and there's something digging in the backyard. I don't think they're looking for truffles, but I'm not sure. From Paul Rees, don't estimate the power of story. And I think, you know, we have stories as foresters and we need to share the stories of foresters. And I think Paul Rees had the ones about urban trees, but we need to think about that in terms of our other work that we do there. Jeff Donovan, methodology. I like this. It was actually turned out to be the title of that one article, but methodologically, it was satisfying that the loss of trees increased the death rate. I thought that was pretty interesting. Amanda and AOL's Associate Oregon Lawyers, wow, forest job trading cards. I will probably really try to get one of those sets one of these days, but that's definitely a wow. If you don't have one, you probably want to get that first set there. Emily Jane Davis, EJ Davis, the inclusion of workers in decision-making. I think that's just something that we really need to think about. These are people who are on the ground and they have some understanding, and it's nice to incorporate their knowledge into what we're going to do. That's just nice to have it said. And then ending up with Brian Bradshaw, this one piece of humor for today, perhaps, biomass, the Rodney Dangerfield of energy. So those are some of my thoughts and my takeaways from our very diverse day. And I hope everybody who attended both the business meeting and today's meeting got something out of it and found value in what you did. I think, again, the group who put this together worked hard, and I really did appreciate what they do, especially Jacob and Lauren for putting this whole program together. So I've got a couple reminders. One is, I believe you can still sign up for the tours. There are 2 tours, one in the Clackamas area, the other in the Eugene area. They're going to be next weekend, May 7th, a week and a day from now. That's Saturday. The auction is still on. There's still all those great items out there. Closes at 8 p.m. tonight. I think you heard the phrase of the day. And want to say thank you for attending. And I do want to remind you that next year, we're going to be meeting in person and hosted by the Umpqua chapter, May 10th through 12th, 2023 at Seven Feathers Casino. And I hope everybody stays healthy and we don't have to drive home safely, or those that do have to drive somewhere, I hope you do get home safely. Thank you so much for coming to our program these last couple of days. It was certainly a satisfying thing to see it turn off so well and be so diverse and I think well attended. So thank you very much. Is there any last words? I think that's what I have there. Okay. Bye-bye. Be safe.